And it's on another episode of ATL Outlet or ATL Therapy for Your Soul. ATN PB in the building. What's good, PB?
Hey, man, we back. What's good is this weather. Hey, man, it's about time. I'm over the cold. I had a couple of nice days. I see the rest of the week supposed to be sunny. And I'm here for all of that. That's what's good, man. The weather. Stick with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What's good with you, AT?
Man, just good to be here on the outlet once again. Got a chance to watch the All-Star game. That's good. Seems like we're coming down to March Madness. That's good. Man, just life's good, man. I'm just happy to be able to be here, share, go back and forth, and see if we can put on a good show. We're gonna jump right into it, man. We got several topics we want to talk about, things that are both, I guess, athletic in nature, and then some off the court, off the field activity that's been going on. And we'll start with that. Very, I guess, disappointing and unsettling story about a recent teenager who was bullied by a group of kids, and according to the story, was forced to drink urine as part of the bullying. Some of the background says that this was an incident in Texas. Was allegations that her parents, Texas mother, had allegation that her son was a black middle schooler, was repeatedly bullied and forced to drink urine by a group of white students. So as you can imagine, in this day of time, how much of a blowback this has caused, and it's really stirring up some emotions in Texas. So PB, I want to get your thoughts on this issue.
Yeah, so can you first start, bro, but do you have any more details on it? Because I saw the story. That was actually one of my topics, but given the space that you operate, I'm curious if you had any more details to exactly kind of how it happened, at least what's the boy's story, or because when I hear forced to drink urine, and this is safe, right? We're just talking. Did they hold him down, like literally force him, or did he feel the need to do that because he was forced to be part of a group, or something to that extent, like initiation or something that effect? And any other details you can share?
Well, the only details that I'm aware of, and again, I have not jumped all the way into it, but the mother did go on to social media and describe some of the things that her son was subject to. And in her words, from a Facebook post, she states that, imagine your classmates and football team members turning on you and targeting you. Imagine a group of those same football team members attacking you in the locker room with a belt. Imagine being hit in the private area, and when you tell an adult, you're told boys will be boys. There are actually videos that have surfaced, one of which shows the student being forced to drink what looks like a yellow liquid. I think they're trying to determine if that was, in fact, urine. So,
and when you say forced, like literally held him down, strapped him down or something, and forced the liquid into his mouth?
It seems as if descriptions of the video say that there are several people in the background laughing, and there are people basically urging him to drink the liquid. I saw a portion of the video, and so I can't say physical force, and maybe mental intimidation or whatever the case may be, but it does not look like he was willingly about to drink the yellow liquid or the urine or whatever the case may be.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got it pulled up here. To your point, imagine your classmates and football team members turning on you, targeting you. Imagine being forced to drink the urine of not only a boy who thought was your friend, but his friends. Imagine a video of you drinking the urine being sent to multiple people at your school. Uh, yeah, well, let me first just hopefully get out what the shouldn't have to be said part, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's no place for that level of treatment to anybody, right? Nobody should be harassed, degraded, um, or physically or mentally tortured by other students or individuals. And I don't know the age of this young man, but there's no place for that, and I hope that they're able to get to the root of it, because to also say that these are allegations, I guess at this point would be appropriate. Um, so you let's hope that they get to the truth of the matter, and if there proves to be um, mistreatment of this young man, that the authorities and those in charge, are able to address it appropriately. Let me just say that. But it does, AT, take me back to a couple things. One, the difference between bullying today versus bullying, we'll call it late 80s, early 90s or whatever, for us as we matured and went through elementary school, middle school, high school. And part of it, you also wonder, again, because this is an opportunity to look at it from, as you always do, right, multiple sides, right? Was he forced to drink this urine? I remember being part of a football program where, people, you were potentially gonna get picked on. You were gonna be highly influenced to do some things that you may not think are right. And I've seen personally, firsthand some scenarios where some guys end up doing some things to other guys that I didn't feel was right. I didn't do or participate in. And so, yet I was also never forced. Now, I will say that there were scenarios where the pressure, right, to participate in some things was extremely high. But as you always say, you want to know a kid, follow them home. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes you also wonder what mental state was the kid in even prior to this situation from happening. And what challenges maybe has he been facing even outside of this one incident, right? To me, it would be fair to maybe assume at this point that this may be the culmination or climax of other things that have been going on with him. Because, at least again, from my experiences, this stuff doesn't just show up all of a sudden out the blue one time. Like, if you didn't think these dudes were, you thought they were your friends, and then just all of a sudden they turned on a dime, there were probably some signs before that incident that these dudes weren't really your friends or whatever the case may be. But again, that pressure can be high because you want to fit in, and it's tough to navigate that as a kid. I mean, and now with social media being the way that it is, it becomes even tougher, because what in our scenarios used to be whatever happened also kind of died the next day, except word of mouth. But if you went to another school or whatever, that story could change 15 million times. But now those videos that prove that social media stuff hitting the net immediately, that stuff lives on in a way that it didn't before. So that's probably a long-winded way for me saying I'm concerned about this young man, but not just this one scenario. like what's the mental state and his ability to navigate, the challenges of growing up even outside of the situation. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think there is no place for it. Period. For them going to that extent in this day and time, and you got to operate um, in the current state of society and the current state of what's considered acceptable. Things that were considered acceptable when we were growing up are different than they are now. Things that were acceptable when we were growing up were probably less accepting, or I guess, yeah, less accepting than they were during our parents' generation. So knowing what we know, like that just can't happen. Um,
Right.
I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and I think that one thing we got to do is we got to be careful. I was having this conversation the other day about there was a I was looking at an interview with a professional athlete who was I think it was DeAndre Hopkins actually. I can't remember, but they were talking about how you know boys and young men are urged to you know work through or tough it out, or I think that the comparison to use would have two children, one boy and one girl, fall on the ground. Oftentimes, we would attend to the girl, but force the boy to get up and not cry about it, do in X, Y, and Z. So I think that we have to be careful that when we look at this situation, we don't say, "Well, the kid who was being bullied should have done this, should have done that," because that's just not how it is in this day and time. Like I think growing up, you know, my response would have been, somebody somebody gonna have to pay for treating them like that. But it's just not like that these days and times. So you got to jump in front of it. I think there needs to be some education done as far as what bullying is. I think that you can have rites of passage in a team, but at this point it can't be bullying because ends up being a lose-lose situation, PB. I mean, you think about it like this. Let's say that same kid was getting bullied, and then he stands up and says, "Nah, I'm not gonna do it," and he breaks like three kids' noses. Like, nah, that ain't gonna happen today. Some kind of way that story gonna get flipped, and he's gonna be this, big bully who just, these kids were just playing around, boys being boys, and he got serious and started breaking people's noses. Yeah, well, you weren't there when he felt like he was being bullied and he was being forced to drink pee. So we got to kind of intercept before we get there. Like, what's the education piece about? Like, what are we teaching our young men about rites of passage? What are we teaching our young men about, camaraderie? Because there is some value to rites of passage. Like earning your keep, to me, is still a big deal. Forcing people to drink pee, nah. Any kind of violent act, nah. Um, but there should be a acceptable way to motivate your teammates, an acceptable way to create chemistry, create camaraderie amongst your team. And this is just unacceptable. This is just unacceptable. And I think the adults who are in charge are going to have to answer to it. Not saying they need to be, you know, fired or burned at the stake, but they need to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, look, all fair points, bro. But okay, to push it just a little bit more edgier, I guess. You say, you don't teach, or so let's just take the scenario. If it was your son, and let's just take it off the table that you're going to be wanting those kids who did it and who, parents or whoever held accountable. Are you also not teaching your son, like, and again, I don't know if the kid was held down, right? Forced to do it to the extent where he couldn't fight them off. He couldn't defend himself, because part of me feels like if you're being forced to drink urine, that there is a need to defend yourself. And so part of, I guess, where I'm struggling a little bit is where in that young man is the desire, the association with defending himself, right, in that type of moment. Because again, I don't think that has to do anything with letting them off the hook for what they did, but just ensuring the security of that young man to know, look, you also need to defend yourself in certain scenarios, right? Regardless of what the story may be afterwards. To your point of he broke three people's noses. Hey, I might deal with the fact that you did that if you were defending yourself, right, from being treated a certain way. And again, that's like we joke all the time around a dude spitting in your face. Like, yo, there's some things where defending yourself is warranted. No,
No, I think that it is certainly warranted. My hope would be, and I'm not judging this kid's parents, and
right,
I'm not a perfect parent. There's no handbook for being a parent.
right,
I will say this, that conversation begins. The day one conversation is not about defending yourself. The day one conversation is about recognizing the value in self and how you can um, make decisions that are maybe unpopular, but they feel right for you. You should do that. Just because the crowd is doing that doesn't mean you have to do it. And it
right,
might not even be a situation that's negative in any kind of deals like hey, everybody wants to go to the mall, but I want to go here. Well, won't you go there? That's what you want to do. Like, don't feel like you have to go to the mall.
right,
Um, I think the conversation starts there. Then there's a buildup. Like, certainly, like, and I have conversations with my kids all the time, two girls, but there's a point where you can only back up so far. And then you got to
right,
do what you need to do.
right,
But I think that the conversation should have began much earlier on both sides, so you don't get to this point. But at right now, it's here. So
right,
you got to give consequences. You got to start making some points. And listen, this is unacceptable, regardless of you know
right,
who's still here as an adult, who loses a job, who
right,
gets sued or fired, whatever the case may be. The
right,
response needs to be, listen, moving forward, this ain't happening again. It
right.
ain't.
Period. Period. And again, to your point, this is in no way what I'm saying a judgment on the parent or or even on the kid, right? Like I started before, it's like the mental health of him, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a need to address for him? Like you said, your own value, right? Your sense of self, and how do you get him on a path forward that if that wasn't there, and again, I don't know the full breadth of this situation. But if it wasn't there, then I would hope that get moving forward, efforts could be put in place to get him there, right? Because yeah, I mean, I think that again, there's a level of defending yourself here that um, may have been warranted, and I'm not condoning violence, but let's just say if he gets in that situation again, I would hope that he's prepared to handle it differently
Oh,
moving
absolutely.
forward.
I mean, I think in all bullying situations, whether it be the bully or the bullier, bully or the bullied, yeah, yeah, they're all situations where there's some self-esteem issues and some challenges there that
Right,
need to be addressed. And,
right,
and I think that once those issues are addressed, you can learn how to you hear about people who get out of certain situations because they realize they're funny, so they start telling jokes when they get uncomfortable, and they kind of get out of the way. Or people who are very personable, who can say the right thing at the right time to kind of weasel out of a situation and don't really have their back against the wall. I just think that a lot of those coping mechanisms can be uh, I guess reviewed and explained, or I guess detail to some of these kids to help improve it. But the act in and
absolutely,
of itself, man, it's
yeah,
sad, man. It's unfortunate.
it is.
Um,
And those boys need to be dealt with.
yeah,
Like,
we've all done things
yeah,
like that, man. But at the same time,
well,
even
no,
when we do it,
not like that,
no,
bro.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, I mean, like
we ain't about right here trying to get dudes to drink urine and nothing
yeah.
like that. Come on.
But there are some things that we were taking part in as teammates that we realized, man. Somebody get hurt, like we all in trouble, like
Right.
period. And it
Period.
might not be a bully situation. It just might be we might be out doing something stupid.
Right.
Somebody get
Right.
hurt, we
Right.
all going down, and they got to
Right.
understand that.
Right. And
And,
we
and
all, like you said, we all been there.
yeah,
But
we all been there.
so the question is though, At, like, because we've been there, our parents have been there, these kids are going through it. Like, you almost have to expect that kids are also, there's going to be, the kids are going to be kids, right? There's, in my opinion, there's probably always going to be some threshold of kids not knowing any better, right? Now, they may not be, too their intentions may not be to hurt or to, but they haven't been able to connect the consequences, right, with the actions that they're about to take.
Bruh, think about it, bruh. If they did, then they would be called adults.
Exactly. But
You know what I'm saying? Like,
my point here is to say, right, if that is fact, then how do you, let's just, and again, we're going to use this extreme just for now, because again, there's probably a line, but how do you then go back and, again, let's just throw out this scenario. What if those boys did not really connect it? Like, how do you discipline them? How do you, address this situation for the bullies if they're not adults? They weren't able to connect the dots between what they were doing and the consequences.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do you, and being in your position, how do you start to reconcile bringing justice to the bullied, if you will, versus the dynamic of these being kids and not knowing any better to a certain
I think there are levels to it, man. I think they're just levels, right? So when you have an issue like this that's on the table, is happening, you gotta respond swiftly, and you have to respond thoroughly at this time. And it may seem unfair initially. Your goal, anytime when you talk about discipline, right? The goal is to understand that mistakes will be made, but you want to make sure that those mistakes aren't huge mistakes, right? So here we have certainly a mistake being made by these kids by forcing this kid to drink, allegedly drink urine or whatever the case may be. But my hope is that the consequence here carries enough weight that they don't force a kid to drive off a cliff as college students, right? Because we can't go back and erase this moment. So when you're training kids up, when you're training kids to not touch the stove, you're not necessarily saying, you know, like every kid should not touch a stove. What you don't want to have happen is you have a kid who loses 3 fingers because they touched the stove. They touched the stove that was like already super hot.
Yeah,
you know what I
they
mean?
go to a restaurant and try to go and touch
Exactly. So you're just you're really trying to mitigate the damage. Like, kids gonna be kids. You're trying to mitigate the damage. And right now, to your point, this reeks of there being a point before this where there probably could have been some consequences levied. Now, maybe it happened in private and the kid didn't say anything, or maybe it was, boys will be boys. But if you hit it early and you hit it often, then it's gonna, chances are, it's gonna mitigate those consequences, because you can't say nobody told me, you didn't let me know beforehand, right? Because in this story right here, think about how different it would have sounded if the story would have been these kids forced this kid to drink pee, but had also had on their record instances where they had done A, B, C, and D. Now you're talking about more egregious consequences, not only for the kid, but also for the adults who were in charge. It was like, you knew that this was a possibility, and yet it still happened.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But that's a tough subject, man. We're gonna go to one more, man, before we light it up, man.
Hey, it was heavy, Bo.
Yeah, heavy, man. You hate to see when the kids are in a situation where they're not in their best light, man. So definitely praying for the victim, the family, all the kids that are involved, making sure that right decisions are made down the line, praying for the adults as well to make sure that they are leading the kids down the right path. Second topic of the day, Creighton Blue Jays, University of Creighton basketball team coach Greg McDermott was fired this past week for a statement he made in the post game after their loss to Villanova. Creighton is has historically been a very solid mid to high major basketball team that has had much success recently in the NCAA tournament. Coach McDermott's son also went to Creighton and eventually played in the NBA. I think he was drafted by the Bulls. But in Coach McDermott's post-game speech to his team following their loss at Villanova, their loss to Xavier on February 27th, he said, guys, we've got to stick together. We need both feet in. I need everybody to stay on the plantation. I can't have anybody leave the plantation. So after that statement was made, clearly players were upset. Um, Coach McDermott actually went to social media and admitted his mistake and apologized. He was suspended from team activities immediately. His players eventually came out with a press conference and some statements regarding the incident. And as of yesterday, or as of today, he was reinstated as coach after a 1 game suspension prior to their Big East tournament run. I also want to add in there that he is scheduled to participate in several diversity and inclusivity programming as part of his, I guess, understanding of why his words were inappropriate, and in an effort to show a willingness to change. Your thoughts, PB?
Yeah, man. I've had several close friends chime in on this one, man, and it goes back to what we discussed on the last podcast, man, around how these times and the events over the last year and others have impacted us overall. Because the question becomes, you or rather you start to feel as if we're approaching a society in which you can't say anything potentially. I've had some friends that say, "Hey, the word plantation shouldn't even be in your vocabulary." I have other friends say, "Hey, it's not the quote, it's not the blank plantation didn't do. It's not the blank plantation. The plantation didn't do anything wrong. It was the racist people on the plantation that did something wrong." And so, trying to think through. Look, let me just say this: I wasn't there. I don't know how it was delivered, but when I first read it, my initial reaction wasn't to be offended, because I quickly went to trying to, I guess, take away what metaphorically he was trying to say versus the literal sense of a plantation. So then I started asking the question, well, what if he had said ship? Or what if he had used boat? Or
Or what if he was black?
or what if he were black and said it? Great, in which I hadn't thought of that, but another great point. And so, I've had a lot of conversations, man, at work around. We're starting a multicultural BRG, and the one thing that I've tried to impress upon our company and everyone that's involved is to say, as we move forward, people are gonna make mistakes. They're not gonna say the right thing all the time. That doesn't mean that they have bad intentions. But we are far from being in a society where everybody's gonna get it right. And there has to be some space for mistakes, genuine mistakes that don't have bad intentions, in my opinion. And I don't know if this was that situation. For me, it kind of felt like that. Like, yeah, he probably could have used a different word, but does that make him a racist? I don't know. I guess that's what Creighton and their team had to determine. But you also now get put into this cancel culture where it's like, oh no, old boy that said plantation. Oh, hey, he fire him right now, fire him. He said plantation, and you be like, I don't know, bro. Maybe he does need to be fired, but that kind of goes back to what you just said, like where there been other instances where he's used inappropriate language that would suggest that, his usage of that word would have been egregious, if you will. So, I'm not there. I'm not part of that team. I don't know, but I would just say, and this is where, sometimes I think you bring a good perspective, AT. You got to take a step back sometimes, man, and really think through how things are being handled. Because at some point, if every word has to be, you know, call it quasi approved by every single different group, we're not gonna have any words to use because, you know, and then depending on who says it, right? It's gonna get real tough, man. You can't even move. Like you're gonna have a translator. Maybe this is a new app. Like I want to say something and I'm gonna put it in the app, and then it's gonna spit out how do I say it in the most appropriate way. Hey, back of the brain thinking right there, dog. We're gonna start that app.
I see.
But anyway, that's my thoughts, bro. What'd you think about it?
Man, you know, this situation here to me is, I don't even know the word. It is, I don't want to use the word. I'm going to use the word interesting. I'm not going to say funny. It's interesting to me at the fallout from this statement. All right. First and foremost, let me just say this. When you're dealing with issues like this, I always pay attention to the responses of the people who were in the room, right? Because those responses going to tell you off the top if there have been past instances or whatever the feeling is in that room. The way the culture is today and society is today, it is my honest belief that at any time a coach stands in front of a team and says something that seems to be inappropriate, players today have no problem. I mean, zero problem coming out saying he needs to go. The fact that the Creighton basketball team did not say that says a lot to me. Now, some people, and you're gonna have people who fall on either side of the fence on every topic. But some people say, well, of course they wouldn't do it because he's their coach and they're trying to make sure they please the coach. But nah, that's not really the society that we're in today. We're in a society now where these teams and these players have much more power, much more leverage with social media and their ability to have certain things done at their university. And I think that if those players were genuinely upset with their coach and genuinely, no, because they were upset, but if they were genuinely, um, they had a genuine feeling that their coach should no longer be their coach, then that would have happened here. That's first and foremost. As far as a statement, like you, I wasn't offended, um, but I got to be honest, man. I really wasn't looking for that. I really at that point started to look at the analogy and began to try to see from his point of view what point he was trying to get across. Now, as I dig deep into it, I get the slave and the slave owner and the plantation analogy now, and looking back on it, yeah, that is inappropriate. I felt like the school admitted that, the coach admitted that, and they responded by suspending him. I think it's interesting that their statement was all of the other consequences would be kept in house, and there could be additional consequences pending. And to me, that says we're gonna wait to see what the pushback is from society to see if we need to fire this coach. And that's where we are today. So as a coach and as an adult, you got to understand like that's where we are. You got to watch out for what you're saying. Whether it's fair or unfair, people are going to expect you to know better. And they say you got to know better, you got to do better, as if people can't make mistakes. But it is my hope that when these instances occur, that we look at it from the educational piece. Like, how do we help this person? How do we educate this person on not doing this again? And oftentimes, in my opinion, firing that person and just, swiping them off the map does not do the job, because now that person just goes down into their hole and continue making those same mistakes because we just, wrote them off. And that's black, white, it's whatever, So I think that's key. I think that just something I don't believe Coach McDermott will ever do or say anything like this again because he was embarrassed. And I think that he is, the most embarrassing thing for a coach, speaking of a coach, is having to atone for your mistakes in front of your players. And I think that's probably the most painful part for coach, but definitely a tough situation at Creighton.
But heavy, bro. I mean, like I said, it's we're living in, I think it's a fair word, interesting times, man. 'Cause you gotta watch what you say. Hey, especially if you're in a position with a platform and you know exposure like that, better be careful. Because again, while I wasn't offended, I understand,
Yeah,
right? Why,
yeah,
why that word can be more provoking, if you will, for some than others.
right.
Uh, so I get it.
Well, man, we're gonna move on, man, because we had the NBA All Star game last night, and I want to jump on a couple of topics there. NBA All Star game was held in Atlanta. It was Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Team LeBron actually won a what I would consider non-competitive All Star game, 170 to 150. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Get hey, Jeff, get a Margie drunk. Yeah,
Antetokounmpo.
Jeff,
Giannis.
get a get a Jeff. Margie drunk.
Giannis
Get a
Antetokounmpo. There it is. I was saying I was not gonna mess that up, but he
hey,
was the MVP
Jeff,
with
get a
35 points on a perfect night shooting. Uh, let me get your
you doing
thoughts.
what?
Huh?
Shooting?
Yeah, he had a perfect night.
Yeah. Actually, I think they made an error on that. When I watched the game, he did have a miss, and they were like, "Oh, his first miss." Next
No,
thing
they called it
I
they
saw,
called it a deflection.
oh, okay. Next thing I saw, he was 14 for 14. I was like, "Hold up, bro, just missed a shot, man."
Yeah, they called it a deflection or something like that. But your thoughts on the actual game before we jump into other things?
Yeah, look, man, I think that one, I was surprised that the NBA did not, or that they proceeded with the game despite the pushback that they were getting from the players. That was surprising to me. Second of all, um, just given the risk. I mean, you saw what happened with Joel, with Ben Simmons. Now they didn't play because of some, I guess, contact tracing with COVID, and just the additional risk. Like, did you have to do this and put people at risk? But it just show you, bro, money rules the world, and that ain't changing no time soon. And as great as a commissioner, what's his name?
Adam Silver.
Adam Silver, which I think he's been a great commissioner for the NBA. I was surprised that he'd be willing to take that risk. But he did. Money rules the world. It came to the A. And then you saw Atlanta, man, Georgia. These folks don't care, man. They out here in these streets. Hey, everybody, you got your own decision to make out here in this world. I just pray that y'all be safe out here in these streets, man. And I saw some clips, man, from this weekend. It was like Atlanta was like COVID had never happened. But back to the game, man. Look, it wasn't that entertaining for me, except Steph going off the way that he did was pretty entertaining. With it, at one point, it looked like between him, Dame, and Luka, they were trying to see who could make a three furthest away, or closest to half court. So that got interesting for a minute. But also because they put the slam dunk contest at halftime, it was like 1 a.m. when they started the third quarter, bro. I was like, come on, bro. Like, y'all tripping. Did y'all even think about how long this stuff was gonna take? So overall, man, I probably gave it a C plus, B minus at best. But that was just me, bro.
Man, what was up with the uniform colors? Like, I felt like I was at an Indiana Pacers like team scrimmage, like with the yellow and the blue. I was like, what's up with that? But anyway,
Man, all them logos, I still, let me side note, our logo, bro, you ever bought a Kia because you saw the Kia logo on LeBron jersey?
no, but there are people who do.
Maybe
Like
so.
when Tiger Woods had that accident, everybody was looking for that car.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's an accident. That's just not a logo on a jersey.
all the special bells and whistles it had. But
I
that's
guess.
what I mean. That's what advertisement is about. You put it on the biggest star, people will gravitate towards it. But as far as the game is concerned, All Star Game is what it is, man. I felt like the issue is the game wasn't close. right? And I don't know how much of that had to do with the fact that Embiid, because Embiid and Anthony Davis were supposed to be on Team Durant. So if you take Kevin Durant, Anthony
Why
Davis,
didn't KD play?
He's hurt. Yeah, he's
Oh,
been hurt for he missed the last 6, 7 games. But if you take KD,
oh, okay.
AD, and Joel Embiid off that team, I mean, even as all stars, that's tough. You know, Ben Simmons was supposed to be on Team LeBron, but if the game is close with that Elam in it, like it's awesome because you really started to see the competitiveness come out. But you can tell once the Elam inning started and Team LeBron got up by like 15, it was kind of like, we're just gonna go ahead and just play this thing out because really we're not coming back. Not the way they were shooting. Um, but it's the All-Star game, man. You just never know what to expect. Couple of things. I think that the 3-point shootout to me is still at the right now has become the biggest thing or
Yeah.
the thing that I anticipate the most as far as All-Star weekend or All-Star days is concerned, because it's just a skill. And if you can shoot, you can shoot, bro. Like if you can shoot, you can. Steph walked in last night, man, was just like, listen, man, y'all playing for second. And he got to shoot, man. And he got to a point where he had to make like the last 3 shots. And he was like, cash, cash, cash. No problem. No problem. And then you had the dunk contest, which Anthony Simmons from
Simon, bro.
Portland.
Simon.
Simons. Who's he playing with? Who was he playing with?
Portland.
Portland, right? Yeah, he wins the dunk contest on a kiss the rim. If he would have kissed the rim, oh man, like that's something that I've never seen.
That would have been dope. Even though
I felt like he was there and maybe got scared at the last minute.
I think he was there, and then he recognized if I put this ball through here at the same time that my lips on here, I might walk away looking like Nutty Professor.
But listen, at that point, Beezy, if I'm up that high and I kiss the rim, I ain't really gonna dunk it hard. Like I proved my point. Like my face is at the rim.
But you
like,
still got to complete the dunk.
Yeah, and I would just dunk it like.
So would it look like like what?
Like Granny, can I have $1? Dunk. Dunk. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think though, once he got up there, bro, because it wasn't easy. He up there and he goes to kiss it. Then he thinking, oh, I gotta get this ball through this hoop at the same time. So he grabbed the ball and then was like, all right, let me flush it. He was like, oh, here come the ball. Let me get away. Hey.
Let me be clear. I've never been that high on the rim, even on a ladder. So I can't tell you what he should have done. But if he would have kissed that rim, that would have gone down as an all-time.
I mean, bro, even the attempt was pretty dope. I had to say.
It was dope. Now with the dunk contest, man, we're gonna start. We're gonna start raising the basket.
It was a little weak. Besides that, and I think the judging was like inconsistent to me.
We've run out of twists and turns in the air, right? Because
they were also at disadvantage because I used to say that probably a few years ago, but when Zach LaVine and what's the old boy from Orlando?
Oh, Aaron Gordon.
Bro, the last couple with them two, hey, bro.
No, you're right.
Those were entertaining.
You're right, but if it's the year where we don't have it,
if you don't have someone with that type of skill,
let's move the goal to 12 feet.
Gotta do something.
Like you gotta do something, man, because it's gonna become obsolete. Like, I mean, you're starting to do these same dunks.
Like
and
Shaq,
it's crazy.
Like Shaq suit he had on. That thing need to become obsolete too.
Who that?
Shaq.
Quit hating on Shaq, man. Listen, this is the funny part. We keep saying they doing these same dunks by jumping in the air, going between the legs and dunking. It's like they doing those same dunks.
Hey, man.
I did want to speak on your thoughts about them having the All-Star game in Atlanta. I think having that game sends a ton of mixed messages about this COVID-19 push, right? Because if you are listening, depending on who you're listening to, we're at a dire need to make sure we control the spread, right? But to host an event, even if you say it's made for TV, you are well aware that millions of people gather for this event and you still host it. To me, that's irresponsible, but also sends mixed messages. Irresponsible from a standpoint of you've communicated the importance of making sure that we are staying safe. Now, the rebuttal to that is, well, adults should make sure that even if they come to the All-Star game, that they're going to stay safe, mask up, and stay 6 feet away. But we have seen throughout the last year that clearly people are not going to do that, right? But we hosted a Super Bowl and we hosted an NBA All-Star game, two events where it is known that people gather to either attend or just gather to watch the events. And what do we say? Well, we just want people to gather at home. Come on, man.
That's what Keisha said. Stay home.
Come on, man. But then you look at the list of clubs who were open, and in Atlanta specifically, we had a city in North Atlanta. I want to make sure I get the city right. It might have been either Brookhaven. It might have been Brookhaven that extended the bar hours to like 4 a.m. Like so you do want us to make sure we stay safe, but you still want us to be able to drink longer and gather and watch the game. But we're gonna make sure you masked up. And then you see all these pictures that show up on social media of clubs where clearly there are no mandates in place.
Zero.
So again, I'm not, as you said, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. You make your own decisions, but we gotta understand from a messaging standpoint, like that creates confusion.
Money, bro. It ain't confusion. What it is NBA need to get that money, and they say we're gonna get that money. Period.
It's like, listen, man, we're gonna host this event where we know millions of people come, but we don't want y'all to get too crazy. I know y'all been getting crazy for the last 40 years.
And because we tell you don't get too crazy, then we're not gonna be at fault if the spike comes back, amongst Black people, right, who are already disproportionately affected by the condition. And let's go and do something that puts all of them already into the same place. And what do? We win. And we win. Did exactly what, bro. But again, to each his own. I ain't knocking it. I just pray for you. I hope everything works out, bro.
We hope everything works out as well. But we're gonna go to break. 1 second.
Hey, real quick though, let me get out of it. And next
bro,
time,
you always do this. You always do this.
Well, you should expect it then, bro.
Why can't you just wait till we come back? Why can't you wait till we come back?
Expect it then, bro. If I always do it, then don't be surprised next time.
Oh my God.
That boy Shaq talking about man. Basically, I failed out of my class at LSU, so I went to Southern University and finished my degree. Shaq, keep that to yourself next time, bro. Like, that ain't a good look to me, AT. That ain't a good look. Like, it did not paint the best picture.
Yeah, I had the record scratch in my head when he said that. I was like, come on, bro, don't do that.
Right. It was like, oh, so you couldn't take it at LSU, so you went to Southern and they passed you, basically, is how you positioned it. And I was, shout out to Kenny the Jet. He was like, well, Shaq, I don't know what you meant by that, but let's just be real. Southern ain't no cakewalk either.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
HBCUs gonna make sure that you ready, just like any other school. Shout out to Kenny the Jet. Shaq, man, watch your words, bro.
Hey, can we go to break now?
Yeah, we go to break.
It's the outlet.
From sports to current events to the culture, we talk, agree, disagree, and agree again. Maybe. Confused? Find your outlet, the podcast.
And we're back. Back to the ATL Outlet, little ATL therapy for your soul. It's that time for our favorite part of the show. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. No,
yes,
sir.
Sir.
For those that don't know, we drop a topic.
Sir.
You answer yes, sir, in the affirmative, or no, sir. First question, BB, you got it.
First one. If you're drinking margaritas, sugar on the rim over salt on the rim? Yes or no, sir?
Sugar or salt on the rim?
Sugar on the rim over salt on the rim.
You know what? This has changed for me over the years. Sugar over salt is a yes or no, sir, right?
For the third time. Sugar on the rim over salt on the rim.
I'm gonna go yes, sir. Sugar over salt on the rim as recently as like over the last
I
year.
know.
Yeah. I actually prefer nothing on the rim, but if I had to pick sugar on the rim over salt. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
definitely no, sir, for me. You know, I'm putting salt on whatever I can, bro. I need to get my weight down, keep that hypertension in check. But, bro, all day, I don't know. I would never put sugar on the rim.
Why not?
Man, it's not. I don't need to be sweet, bro.
It's
Like
a
that.
nice balance. Like that's that salt and that sweet.
Hey, you do you. I'ma do me.
But you
Bro,
saying it like salt is just the end all be all. Like salt is
it
kind of
is on a margarita, bro. For
nah.
me, hey,
It's already tart enough.
it's for you, not for me. You do you. I'ma do me. No, sir.
Do you put salt on your food? You put salt on your food?
Yeah, and lemons. That's why I know how you eat lemons and stuff. And it's like that's like putting sugar on a lemon or something.
But you put sugar on grits.
Well, but don't worry about what I be doing. We talking about margaritas right now.
So you don't like sugar enough to put it on your margarita, but you like it in your grits. But you're a strange bird.
Hey, you know, you
Next.
do you. I'ma do me.
Next. Yes, sir. No, sir. I always gotta go to NFL on the yes or no, sirs. Quarterback room been heavy. Got to talk about it. By the way, Dak Prescott just signed.
Got paid. Just got paid. It's
Just got
Friday
paid
night.
Just got paid like it's Friday night.
Party jumping. I'm feeling right.
Yeah, he
Bro, 160, right? For 4 years.
He got one
Guaranteed 126.
160. Now let me ask you this. 4 years. Dak Prescott over Russell Wilson. Yes, sir. No, sir.
What do you mean 4 years?
So you got 4 years.
Now?
You got 4 years right now.
Right now. Who do I
right
take?
Now. Dak Prescott over Russell Wilson. Yes, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. Too easy. No, sir. No,
Why
sir.
not?
A Super Bowl winner chicken dinner. Enough said. And he's in the peak of his career.
I'm gonna say yes, sir. I don't think Russell Wilson is in the peak of his career, although he's one of my favorite players in the league. I'll take Dak Prescott 4 years. I think he's proven himself to be a leader. I think he's gonna come back and tear up the lead because of the disrespect.
And coming from you, from a dude who is all about, hey man, you gotta have a ship. Gotta have a ship. Gotta have a ship. This dude is a Super Bowl winner, and you're gonna take a non-Super Bowl winner over.
Yes. It's a lot of Super Bowl winners I would take Dak Prescott out over. Yes. I'll take him over Ben Roethlisberger right now. He's a Super Bowl
Ben Roethlisberger way past his career.
But that's not what you just said. What you just said was because he was a Super Bowl winner.
Because that's what you normally say, bro.
Well, yeah. When it's comfortable, I might say that.
All else equal, bro.
I reserve the right to use
Russell Wilson in the same conversation as Ben Roethlisberger. Come on.
I reserve the right to use that as a tiebreaker if somebody wins it.
Bro, you put sugar on your grits. You a weird bird, bro.
Well, I'm taking Dak over the next 4 years over Russell Wilson.
Hey, we're gonna put that one out on Twitter, man. See
put
what
it out there.
See what
Write
everybody
it down. Take a picture.
Hey, we will. Nobody gonna take Dak Prescott over Russell Wilson. But stop.
4 years. I will.
Last and final. Yes or no, sir?
Go ahead.
Nah, you said you got it.
Crunchy cereal over soggy cereal. Yes, sir. No, sir.
I'm crunchy over soggy. Yes, sir. I'm gonna take crunchy all day.
Why?
You know, when you get that soggy, man, sometimes that thing it just be feeling like paper. You be like, man, this thing just I don't even know how to.
What you eating? Cornflakes?
Yeah.
You eating plain cornflakes? You putting salt in your cornflakes?
I put sugar on it. But you already know that.
Put sugar on everything except his margarita.
Hey, I mean, and
that's why your cereal tastes like paper, because you eating them plain cornflakes.
Hey, you call it what you want, bro. I mean, you go let some Fruit Loops sit in some milk for too long.
I would rather my Fruit Loops sit for a minute and be extra crunchy.
Okay, for a minute. That ain't
They
letting
soft.
it.
They soft.
That soft ain't soggy, bruh.
Depending on who you ask, bro.
Okay.
You just keep putting sugar and salt in your
Hey,
cereal.
I'm gonna say
And
this one
grits.
last time because you act like you're here. You do you. I'm gonna do me.
Well, you heard that. We're gonna do what we do. You do you. I'm gonna do me. It's the ATL Outlet, little ATL therapy for your soul.
There it is.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
From sports to current events to the culture, we talk, agree, disagree, and agree again. Maybe. Confused? Find your outlet, the podcast.